Hello, everybody.
What a week.
Okay, so who wants to start with what album?
Royce,
Oh, with Mr. Gnome?
the time is yours, and it's now.
Okay, Mr. Gnome and Royce.
I don't know. I mean, I like both albums. I'm going to talk about Mr. Gnome, I guess.
Okay.
Let me close this door. I don't know. I kind of just like Mr. Gnome, like the singer is like intoxicating. I think it's like those like heavy tones that she gives, and it's just I don't know. I where do I start? Let's see. All I got to say is, I mean, I like how it's, it kind of has like that vibe, like at times for me, like Silver Stuff Pickups kind of vibe in a way, just sonically, but it's so much more like progressive, and it just includes so many more polyrhythms throughout the album. Right? They're just elevate the music. And I think me and Lucas were talking about how their new stuff is just so like slow and a lot more, I guess, quieter, or just kind of like a lot more like relaxing in a way. And I feel like this album is like a perfect medium for my liking. I just really like how they incorporate all these and layer all these like percussion and into like their sound, which makes it a lot more interesting. And it's just kind of a testament to making things a lot more interesting rhythmically than just kind of sticking to, the regular, kind of like the regulars, just they could easily ban a band that doesn't do any of that and probably not lost a lot of followers. I mean, of course, they gained me as a fan, but just their style, I feel like people that are driven to this band tend to like the post-rocky kind of vibe of things kind of just playing out longer and having these sort of like sonic vibes that just take forever to, this climactic sort of sounds. And I just really appreciate the fact that they include so many other elements into their music. I'm gonna keep it short. I think that's so I don't go too much into it, and everybody has a take. I guess my biggest take is like singer is really good, and I think like when you mentioned that Lauren and Ceremonies was pretty like similar to like it's pretty on point, which so it's the a compliment to Lauren. It's pretty similar, and I don't know, I guess I got put on the spot to start, but I'll just comment.
It's all good. That's good. I'll go next. I actually wrote down my take this time. I actually took notes, so I'm going to try to continue to do that in the future. I have heard Mr. Gnome before. It was a long time ago, but I only heard like a part of a song. So like it's one of those impressions that you get where you just hear some out of context part of a song. And to me, it was just, very cinematic. Royce said climactic and cinematic. It's kind of the same thing. Like that's what I got from it. It's being big and wonderful. Kind of like something like, with the Animal Collective. They did that a few times in the album. But I really like this album. I had a lot of fun with it. Not only was there's a lot of theme. There's a lot going on. It had a doom feel, like doom metal. But at the same time, what did I write down? Yeah, but with that cinematic feel, like it was just the rhythms that were going on. It was really heavy, and it was definitely rock. It was like heavy rock. The vocals, I mean, the lead vocals, there was like a twang. I think halfway through the album, twang really started to show with their vocals, and that was really cool. I really liked that a lot. Also, I got reminded a little bit, especially like the second quarter of the album, almost like a Susie and the Banshees feel. There was something cool, almost like that new wave vibe we've been talking about. Showed up, but it's done in such an original way. You know, it's almost like I expected something weirder, and I don't know why I got that impression, but everything's very solid. Yet the experimental label, because I guess it's a label that's thrown on them, especially with different listening platforms, but everything's so together. They have such a good grasp on the idea and the sonic concept they're trying to relay. That's what I really appreciated about this album. Like, everything's together, and if they did something weird or experimental, they knew exactly what they were doing with it. So I think that's my favorite part of the album. Let me see. I have some songs that really stood out. Pixie Dust, and Plastic Shadow. Those were really two fun songs I really liked. But yeah, also as far as the mixing is concerned, because that's how I've been listening to it, and as far as how the vocals are placed, when she chooses to place her vocals, rather than just filling up space, like she's doing all kinds of cool different patterns. And same goes for guitar. Everyone knows when to go in and do some cool stuff. So
Yeah.
Like I said, great album.
I didn't mention my favorite song. I'm just gonna say it. It's Spain. Just that like slow build, and it turns into that fucking prog rock song. That
Okay.
that song. I just always mention my favorite song. I forgot.
Was that in the beginning? Because I started paying attention to song names like towards the second.
Yeah,
third.
that's the first song on the album.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first one. I just, fucking love prog rock. Love prog,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh, it's one of the best, man.
Are you done, Nick?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'll go next.
All right.
Yeah, I was actually noticing a lot of parallels with the Animal Collective, with like the fuzzy, dark feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, like if I had to choose like a color like I did for Animal Collective, it would probably be like a very noxious looking purple. It's dark and heavy, and like you're kind of forced to breathe it in, and like that kind of stuff. Also, the melody hooks are probably what like kept me grounded, because usually with that kind of stuff I just dissociate while listening, which isn't a bad thing. Like that's why I listen to a lot of like post-rock music and like slow build up and like crescendo decrescendo type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like this album, especially the tones. The tones remind me of this band, the Go Team.
The what?
That's like, it reminds me of the Go Team. Like
The Go Team. Okay.
yeah, the Go Team. They're this British indie punk band, and mainly the tones, just that like heavy fuzz and like a somewhat fast and repetitive like jungle-ish beat at some parts.
Okay.
Like also this other, it's not a post-punk band, it's like a progressive post-punk band or something like that. We versus the Shark.
We versus the Shark?
Yeah.
I've heard of Bear versus Shark, but okay.
No, yeah, We versus the Shark is just kind of weird.
Okay.
Which I guess is what I'm getting at, is like they really had like that strange vibe. Like they just encapsulated the word like strange or like eerie, I guess,
Okay.
in tone, which is probably a lot of the mixing. Like the mixing is so well blended together, but you also don't lose anything, which is really interesting with that heavy gain, like heavy fuzz tone.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that. I think my favorite song was what was it called? Like Slow Dive? Is that the song?
That one's dope, man. I like that one too.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if that was a song title or not. That one into the next one I really liked because they were kind of like polarized, like had different vibes but similar tone. I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a damn good album. And
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with
really
it.
my take.
All right, Lauren.
Okay, this was the 1 week that I didn't write down my takes because I was just like have been so distracted, and I don't know. For some reason, I'm like really tired. So when I listened to it, I was just like, but I really liked both of the albums. Like the vocals were really dope in this one, and reminding me a little bit of the vocalist from Big Thief. I really like. Yeah, I thought it was sounded so for that. My favorite was actually the title track, which is funny because I don't think it sounds like the rest of the album whatsoever. But I did like it all. I don't know, that one was just super ethereal. That's kind of my shit. So, but yeah, just echoing what you guys were saying as far as like the crescendos and like it being very like cinematic, very much into that too. Yep. That's my take. That's it.
Word.
So,
Cool.
what's
All right.
your thoughts on it, Lucas?
Well, I love Mr. Gnome, so I'm probably pretty biased. But they're like really good, and they seem to have this theme that kind of revolves around like fall time, because they're usually like a lot of their lyrical themes kind of like delve into like inner darkness and things like that. And a lot of the imagery too that's on their albums is like somewhat weird. There's like that somewhat Donnie Darko like kind of reference on Miniature, Madness and Miniature, or whatever that album's called, Miniature and Madness. That's their like most famous album. But so this is the one that's before it. So it's kind of like where they were kind of developing the sound to get to that album, essentially. Because that album kind of takes like a lot of the concepts in this album and like cranks it up. But I think this album probably has more like thematic cohesiveness.
Okay.
And yeah, there's that one song on the album that is, they play it a lot at shows. It's called Vampires, but it's definitely not one of my favorite songs by them. It's probably my least favorite song on this album.
That was one of my favorites. I don't know. I got a country side to me, so I was really like,
yeah. Well, she brings it out and a little bit in every song that she does. Like it's always there. But yeah, that one she definitely like kind of, you know, leans heavily into it. But I just thought it felt like, it's not a bad song necessarily. It just felt like kind of out of place, in my opinion. But again, this is my opinion. And anyway, there's like I think the first half of the album is a little stronger than the second half, but that's just, again, my opinion.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, I think the reason being is that, like, I like Mr. Gnome for like the complex polyrhythms. I mean, this is like a 2-person band. This is
Yeah, aren't
a
they
woman
married?
singing and playing guitar and playing all these effects and vocal loops, and like, she doesn't do all of those vocal harmonies during a concert, but she does a lot of them. Like, it's pretty impressive nonetheless to be playing guitar and singing and looping your own vocals and doing all this other stuff with your pedals for your guitar at the same time. That's hard shit to do, you know. So, and then on top of that, the drummer is really good. I mean, like, he's not super flashy, but he, like, for how simple some aspects of the music are, he like does some stuff that I wouldn't even like conceive of, you know. So
Yeah.
like that song Pixie Dust is a good example where he starts it off with that drum rhythm. Like, I mean, you know, so I don't know. I just like them. They're a really creative band. I'm not a huge fan of the newer stuff, but it's also cool because they've kind of like changed the sound a little bit instead of just making the same album over and over. So it's nice to hear a change, you know. That's kind of like, or at least a progressive change where you see it in earlier albums and then it's kind of full blown in later albums. It's not like too jarring or anything like that. But
it's a part of them that they're still exploring, and they can, the fact that they can expand on it is really cool.
I think that Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they have a lot of like interludes that allude to that sound a lot. You know, they have it on every album. They have all those like short interludes that are like more spacey and stuff like that. You know, which I like. I'm a fan of.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna just add to the drummer's creativity. I think there's like one song in the album where there's kind of like a juxtaposed sort of like lightness and like heaviness of the guitar, and then slow and fast. I think it's called. It's either it might be Slow Side or Plastic Shadow.
Plastic Shadow for shit.
Yeah, and just like the combination of the guitar and drums on that song are fucking like incredible, dude. Like you say, it's not like a drum that's flashy or technical, like, you know, as for what most like drummers are praised for. But, you know, he's one of those drummers that I like because, you know, his, I guess, composition when it comes to drumming is so much more creative and challenging than playing something that's extremely hard. To me, that's where like good drummers, you know, that's where I distinguish my favorite drummers to someone I just admire, you know. And I think his creativity and the way the guitar and the drums vibe, I just fucking like, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna do a lot more listening of this album for sure in the future for those reasons. And but yeah, I just wanted to add to that. And also, did anyone get some Mr. Bungle vibes?
Yeah. Mr. Bungle.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Are you
I forget
saying
the name of this.
Bunghole or Mr. Bunghole?
Next to Bunghole?
No, it's Mr. Bungle.
Bungle.
I'm sure he thought of that though. He was making it. I forget the name of the song. There's one he just starts screaming and then it turns into a metal riff. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, in conclusion, great vocal melodies, really cool songs. Like, it's just a really good album. I think Madness in Miniature is probably my favorite, but only slightly just because I like more of the songs. But I mean, I feel like this is probably a better put together album. Yeah, really, again, really good vocal harmonies. I'm just a sucker for that sort of thing. So
Yeah, it was a good album.
I love Mr. Gnome. They're like again, like a they call themselves like, it's like, well, people call them like stoner rock, psychedelic rock, you know, psych
I was
rock.
gonna say like post grunge.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but that's the thing. It's hard to pigeonhole them because they like meld so many different things. There's obvious shoegaze and post-rock influence in it. You know, there's obvious psych and stoner rock influence. There's obvious indie influence, you know, but they do a lot more with all of that stuff. They kind of just deftly combined everything, you know.
I would put him under art rock. I know that's like
Yeah, no, that too, yeah.
just to not put him under alternative rock. I think art
Why
rock is
not?
where they fit. If I had to put him anywhere, I would put him in art rock.
Because they do have really heavy, like, dope parts. Like, I had a lot of fun listening to the album because, for the most part, it was exciting. Like, I would love to see a show from them because they really have a lot of energy.
They put on a really good show.
Experience.
Yeah, and just one more thing. I mean, we were talking about last time about if Animal Collective, like, are they able to even perform the album? You know, are they even able to perform these songs and to the full extent? And I feel like Mr. Gnome is one of those bands that it's able to do all these things. Like Lucas was mentioning, she doesn't do all these layering and all these like vocal melodies live, but she does most of them. So I think like watching this band live, or just watching like something on YouTube, or if you get to catch them in concert in the future, like it will probably really like make you a bigger fan. Because I mean, I know I haven't seen them live, but watching YouTube videos, I for sure like appreciate them a lot more, because I think that's a big factor when it comes to performing. When it just comes to an artist in general, I think it elevates them a lot more when they can actually perform the complicated things. Yeah. Not that I don't know if Animal Collective can do that or not. I actually never seen them live or seen anything.
They can. I still need to send you guys the video. Their first big concert, they were at a big festival, and let me tell you, that was interesting. So they grew a lot. They grew a lot.
Yeah. I was just throwing it in because it was related, but I'm not sure if they can do it or not. Just the fact that if they can or not. I think we talked about this with the Talk album as well. Can they play this live? So I think Mr. Gnome is one of those bands that can for sure do it and sound good while doing it. And that's big. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Same order of people. Next album.
Oh, really? Come on. Okay. Uchu Conbini. I just want to start with, like, it gave me, I guess, tonally, and you guys can correct me because I'm not a guitarist, but just tonally, I really, I love, like, Eric Johnson. I don't know if you guys know who Eric Johnson is.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I've heard of him.
I don't know if that's a unique to his tone and his guitar, but like throughout, and what amp gives that tone. But the tone in this band, like, is just fucking, I couldn't stop listening to it because of the tone. I think, I don't know. I mean, you guys can correct me if it's completely off, but I just keep getting that feel. And a lot of, like, I guess you would call them chord progressions or whatever you guys do with your fingers and strings or whatever. Whatever you guys do, it just really, like, reminded me of, like, Eric Johnson, and just, like, a bit of bluesy stuff there. I don't know if I'm correct on that either, but that, like, I just love that tone. But I think I'm gonna talk more about how I didn't really like the singer, although I don't think she wasn't a bad fit with the band. I think she did a really good job with, like, singing over the music, I guess. But I think, and it's not really her fault, but I feel like she kind of lacked a little bit of range, in my opinion. Throughout, like, the songs, like, it never, like, she never hit like a satisfactory like level with me. I don't know how to explain it, but like with that, what was it? A Crow is White. Like she has so much range, and I know it's more of a poppy sound, and maybe more of a going more to like a poppy area of music, to where voices tend to be the center of attention. Therefore, they have more. I don't know. They just contribute a lot to the music, and she contributed a lot to the music. But I don't know. I think maybe that's it for me. That she didn't have a lot of range throughout.
Okay.
She just kind of always stayed in the same, almost monotone sort of like melodies. And not that they were bad melodies. It never went to a part vocally where I was impressed. And at times it was a little bit distracting. And I don't know if that was the mixing. But I don't want to like take too much away. I mean, I'm not saying like she was.
Or you're saying that you hated it.
No.
See, like I could see parallels with what you're saying versus the reason why I don't like American football, which is what this band is based on.
You don't like American football? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, not that much. The only American football I really listen to is like
Neverment.
different dumb covers of Never Meant, and just the dumb covers of it, like Super Mario 64 sounds.
Yeah. And, I never been a big fan of American football. I actually don't really like the vocalist all that much. It's one of those like, I don't know. It's like
to my life. That's what it is.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, let's do a cover.
So that's way too whiny eme, and I don't like that either. But this is not so much her tone of her voice. I just felt like at times I was like, oh man, I wish she could go at a higher octave.
It's more interesting.
Yeah, get some more interesting things in there, and because I don't know, the guitar's all over the place, and
sounds like you have a problem with the tone of the voice.
What's up?
Sounds like you have a problem with the tone of her voice.
No, I think it's more like the range that she was. I don't know if she's capable of more, and I just felt like maybe she could have added a little more to the music. At times for me, it was distracting. So maybe it's just a matter of me getting used to it, and maybe it's something, it's in a different language, so maybe I just don't understand it. But other than that, dude, everything.
Playing bass at the same time, so.
Oh shit! Wow, that's fucking awesome.
Oh, I didn't hear that. What was that, Jimmy?
Oh, she's also the bass player.
Oh,
like
okay.
She's vocals and bass, so she's like juggling her voice along with keeping time with the drummer and the guitarist.
I know what that feels like.
Yeah, well, that puts it into perspective a lot more. I mean, that's fucking difficult because she's a pretty good bassist, She's not playing easy stuff, at least doesn't sound like she is. So, I mean, I guess that puts it a lot into perspective more, and why she probably doesn't, make the things more complicated than they have to. But instrumentally, like, fuck, dude, this band is just, again, one of those bands, and that just makes you want to like quit music because they're just fucking way too good. So those are my two hot takes. There's more, but I'll let you all tackle the rest. I'm sure they're there.
All right. I guess I'll go next. Keep things in order. I got Chan vibes. I'll just say it off the bat. Except, let me elaborate a little bit on that.
Please do.
It was definitely, see, when I say Chan vibes, I don't mean like the playing technique or the style or anything like that. I mean just, it was groovy, but in a very light and refreshing way. And I personally really enjoyed this album too. It's funny, Royce, you're talking about the vocals. I really like the vocals on this album. I don't know, like they were really they had room to breathe. I know that's a weird thing to say about vocals, but there was a lot of sustain and, you know, some of the more soothing mid to low mid accents that a lot of the vocals had. And the way that she placed her vocals, I really like that from a songwriting perspective. The guitars, it's funny because I got so heavily reminded of your guys' guitar parts, Lucas and Jimmy. Like, it sounded so much like, especially Jimmy, especially you, reminded of the type of guitar parts that you would write. It's like I was going through chronostasis all over again, but it's like this half an hour of that type of style. And it's cool. It really puts things into perspective. And the fact that I was really able to relate what you do to something like that, it's like, okay, it kind of gives it a home. And like I said, it was just really light and refreshing. And, you know, I think it gave me an idea. I know we've been talking about like relating these albums that we listen to what we're trying to do as a band and as artists, etc. I think this album was kind of like a, you know, a light bulb going on a little bit.
Yeah, and I agree that the vocals. Sorry, Nick, interrupting, but I agree that the vocals were placed correctly. You know, I don't have an issue with that. I think she found a way to like sing on top of, you know, math rock and proggy fucking parts that are typically like pretty difficult. So I think I do think she did a good job doing that. I just, like I said, I just felt like, again, just the range of her voice. You know, I think she could have different octaves and different things, or sing songs in lower and progress to higher notes and stuff like that to make it a little more interesting. But if she's playing bass at the same time, then I'm no one to judge her. To begin,
Right.
Singing itself is hard as fuck. So, but you know, it's just, you know, as a listener, that's kind of one of the things that threw me off the most. But yeah, I agree with the placement of the vocals, and the actual composition was actually really, really good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I agree. It's really and that's the thing. Like the whole album was kind of that's Scale the Summit. Have you guys heard of Scale the Summit?
Yeah.
All right. I got a similar vibe, not necessarily as far as composition, but like I felt a similar way listening to this album as I would listening to something by Scale the Summit, like something more calm. It was a very soothing album with a lot going on. So that's what was really cool about it. Let me look at my notes. I'm used to this going off. But let's see. Yeah, like I said, the riffs had a home. Like everything has a home. It's placed for a certain reason. Nothing feels random or filler. Also, the album starts out with this arpeggiated guitar line that is gorgeous. And that's a theme that I saw coming with it. You know, a lot of different parts of the album is that arpeggiation was a very important part in the songwriting. Compass is a gorgeous song. I really like that song. Also, there was a part in the song Strings. Dare I say, it had a Coheed vibe to it. So I really like that, especially some of their later stuff.
Can definitely see that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they explore a lot. I liked it a lot. Sorry, go.
I actually forgot what I was gonna say.
Ah, shit.
I was just gonna say, Compass was my favorite song behind 8 Films, just because of that vocal harmony that she has.
But 8 Films is fucking awesome. I love that song too. So all in all, that's my take. But all in all, again, like this week is fucking awesome. I love both these albums, and you know, I kind of got to reflect on what's going on as far as Mephalta is concerned, and that was really cool.
Cool. Do you want me to say my word on it right away, or wait till everyone else?
I don't know. Should we keep the order?
Do it,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Go. Tell
right,
me
cool.
off.
So yeah, this album is one of my favorites. Obviously, one of my main inspirations for like a lot of my current like tapping styles, especially like with full chord tapping and hammer offs or pull offs and hammer ons and stuff. Yeah, like at first I was super intimidated by the guitarist because I started following him on Instagram. His name is like Daijiro Nagakawa or something. I forgot his full name, but he just posts like little like 30-second riffs that he writes for the day, and they're all equally insane while being original. And it pissed me off that I couldn't do that. So it was like one of those moments where I was mad at myself for my own lack of skill, so I decided to get better. And that's one of the reasons why this band is like important to me, I guess. Is it's one of the few bands that directly makes me want to play music after listening to it.
Okay.
And honestly, this band is one of the bands that reminded me of Ceremonies if you guys were in a different genre, I guess, or like if you guys were like way mathier with no effects and stuff. Because
I mean,
like
it's a mad compliment. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
No,
that's
yeah.
dope.
That's
Well,
kind of
that-
funny you say that too, because I remember like one of the first times Lucas saw Ceremonies play, he was like, "You should listen to Mr. Gnome. You sound like Mr. Gnome." And I like when Litra was like, "Dope."
I mean, Lauren, that shit was dope. The shit that you were putting out was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'll always remember that.
You talking about the vocal harmonies too just makes me want to like actually work on those a lot more in our bands.
Yeah.
We could do some dope things. Jimmy, were you still?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, everything. This is one of those bands where I can literally give you a history lesson on each of the members and tell you what they're doing now, type deal, because they're not a band anymore.
Honestly, though, I was thinking about that, and I mean, obviously I don't want to take up a little bit too much time, but something I find interesting when, like, people talk about music or bands on, podcasts or whatever, is that they don't just talk about, like, the music itself, they talk a little bit about the history or, like, the cultural significance, which is super interesting, and, like, just gives everything, like, another perspective. Like, even you finding out that the vocalist is also a bassist, like, made you think about it differently. So, I mean, maybe in the future we should incorporate some like other information as well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I also think part of it is like, I know at like time and sometimes you'll get to, but I think it's also fun to like, I mean, I should have probably watched the live video. I mean, I was watching Mr. Gnome live videos all week, so I should have just watched one of theirs. So I probably would have learned. I guess it's just a kind of also, yeah, I think like a lot more, maybe when we pitch the albums on the session, we can also just talk about them a little more, and talk about things or talk about why they're important before we send everybody out there with the music. That could be, but also individually just investigating stuff. It's also pretty fun, finding things for yourself. And at least in my thing, I mean, that's the kind of listener I am. Go look for the history behind the band or whatever, if I can find it. I couldn't find anything about Uchu Conbini. Like, I think we're lucky it's on Spotify because there's not a lot of stuff out there.
They're on a few Japanese blogs. See, that's another thing is a lot of the stuff I know about them, I literally translated the website to be able to read it. Type stuff.
So can it be my turn?
Yeah, go.
Do it up.
No, yeah, immediately like listening to this, I was just like, oh, that's like Jimmy's inspo, isn't it? Yeah. All those finger tapping parts and everything, but really dope for sure. And I mean, I actually like the vocals. Something that can be hard when you're making music is finding like a balance with that when there's so much going on, you know? So I'm sure it was a little bit of a challenge to find like a balance with all those like complicated guitar riffs and everything. But I feel like it, like you were saying, Nick, like it had like a spaciness to it that for me like kind of balanced things out. And honestly, that's one of the things that, like, coming into this band, it was the first time I've had to write vocals for something that has all these moving parts that aren't necessarily moving at the same speed. And that's been like definitely a challenge. So like kind of the way that I feel like I go about it is not to have like all these complicated lyrics and like fast melodies, because it just will get a little bit like jumbled up with everything else. And for me, like the way to approach it is to like have that airiness, that spaciness, and a little bit of like ethereality to it, to where it kind of just like seeps into the cracks and helps everything mold together. So like I thought they did a pretty good job with that, with the vocals, actually, because I think a little bit of Royce, what you maybe felt like was missing was like some sort of like profundity in the vocals. But I feel like at the same time, if they were to like choose to go to like some extreme or the other, it might get a little too complicated, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, like feeling cluttered, like too what's the word I'm looking for?
Cluttered?
Yeah, just cluttered is a good word.
Clusterfuck.
I guess that no, I think that is totally like a valid point. But I still think that regardless of like how, you know, this airiness has to do with the vocal placements and even, you know, speed or you know, just composition in general, I think was like really good, you know. But I do agree with that. To me, like, it's almost like I said, it's just it might be that she maybe can reach higher notes or lower notes, or and she doesn't have the range, you know, or what it is.
Well, in the band that they have now, Uchu Conbini isn't a band anymore. They're another band with a few more members called Giocho. And she definitely has a higher range there, but they're doing like different, slower, folkier type stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, you know, I mean, y'all are probably like right, and maybe she
Well, no,
tried.
you're not wrong. Like, no one's like really right or
No,
wrong.
no,
It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But I mean, like, y'all probably like in the right track by saying like maybe she did try those things and it did sound clever. You know, maybe she tried to add these elements to the songs that you know felt were missing, and it just didn't sound good or didn't sound like what she wanted them to sound. So yeah, like it's all, like you said, it's all perspective too. So, but I don't know. I mean, to me at times it was a little distracting, and also might have been the mixing. I don't know if Nick or one of you guys can, I don't know, be like, yeah, it's actually good mixing or not. But at times that the vocals felt a little distant from the instrumentation. But, you know, I'm just being like extremely critical just because I was a little distracted by them at times, and not in a good way, but just to kind of like noticing things that I just kind of didn't like about it. But, you know, it's like the one negative about it, even within the vocals. Like I said, I think composition itself and the placement of vocals, like Nick said, it's actually really good, you know, being that the music is so complicated and so hard to sing on top of.
Yeah, no, I definitely, that was one thing. It's like she filled the cracks, which is something I thought was really cool because of the fact that, you know, I compared it to Chon, or what's that one dude, Pliny. You know, there's so much going on with the guitar. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where you want to place, you know, good accented parts, something that stands out. And she definitely did a good job with that. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And then Lucas, are you next?
Also, I just want to say really quick, it was funny because, like, I was asking one of my friends if they'd heard of either of these albums, and he was like, well, what's the other album called? And I was like, I don't know. It's like some Japanese characters. And then Isaiah was like, "Oh, did Jimmy suggest that?"
That he did. It was a good ass
You know
album.
Friends know me. One from,
The Jimmy stereotype.
You might be a Jimmy if you only listen to very obscure Japanese bands.
I'm gonna do a Jimmy
Off of Japanese blogs that you have to translate to be able to even find it.
Hey, I've always taken pride in being able to localize new fans for these overseas bands that would otherwise never have those fans.
You're doing the Lord's work, I tell you.
You're the vanguard, Jimmy.
All right. We have one more take on this or what?
Yeah, it's my take.
Who cares?
And also that album was on YouTube as well. So to be fair to Jimmy, we're all joking about it, but it was on YouTube, and that's how I listened to the entire album.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. The guitar work is obviously really good. I can definitely see the similarities with Jimmy's playing, especially some of the it's like really clean, and a lot of what Jimmy like will play too is really clean stuff. So the guitar works really good. They have some pretty cool interludes. Some of them I feel like could benefit from not just being guitar, you know? But other than that, it's like, it is really good. And then the singing I thought it was pretty good. I can see where Royce is coming from, like saying he wished there's more like dynamics going on. But if you like take into consideration she's also playing bass at the same time in this band, that's a pretty impressive thing to do. So
so fuck your take, Royce.
no, I mean, I see where it's like I don't know if you guys know that. Anyway, I don't want to bring up local band names at all right now. Because but there's some bands where like the singer has great tone, just excellent tone, but it sounds like they only have like a one or two octave vocal range, which again, for most people you can't talk shit because like, can you sing greater than 2 octaves like pretty, accurately or reliably? And the answer most of the time is going to be no, you can't. So Royce at least can. So like he does deserve to criticize as much as he wants, I think. So
really? Not really. I mean, there's falsetto and there's other techniques you can use, like even if you don't have the range, or interesting things you can do vocally. And and you're right. I mean, you can't really talk shit. I mean, I don't think I could do a better job. It's just, I just, I just wanted to point it out because
yeah, but no one's trying to say that anyway. Like this is the point of an album review.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think
you're like, England's good. End of take.
Yeah.
I think the drums and the guitar are like so high end and like so technical and stuff. Like your brain that's automatically expects the vocals and bass to follow suit. But
I think you're right, Jimmy. I think that might be like sort of where I'm coming from too. It's maybe like just the level that the other musicians are at maybe kind of makes her feel a little more amateur as compared to them, because all of them have, even like to the tone and to like everything they add to their playing is just like fucking precise and interesting at all times. So maybe that's where I'm coming from too. Maybe it's something that was maybe that's what's distracting to me, and so I have to listen a few more times. I'll probably like it after listening to it more too. to be honest. But yeah, I shouldn't be talking shit. I don't think I could do a better job.
But I mean, her range does kind of inhabit, like, you know, I wouldn't say like a low or mid or anything like that. I would probably say like a upper mid range to offset the fact that, yeah, the guitars are like a little more, not necessarily twinkly in the like Midwest kind of sense, but just there's a higher clean parts that are more accentuated. You know what I mean? So it's hard to like which range do you inhabit so that you can cut through, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, she's playing bass. So
Yeah, she was sort of shoved into the corner whenever it came to the frequencies that she could use, to be fair.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's absolutely it.
So
Makes a lot of sense.
yeah, so I mean the smart thing to do, I guess, is do what she did, basically, is I guess what I'm trying to get across.
Got
And then other than that, like, it's a great album. And that's the first time I've ever listened to that band. So normally when I hear like these kinds of bands, and honestly, the guitar wise, it seems like a lot of stuff like kind of is a reflection of Toe. To be honest, that tone is very like Toe-esque, because you hear bands in America where a lot of them try and capture that like really twinkly Midwest like emo sound. And then at least from a guitar perspective, and then in Japan it's more like you hear either stuff that's like more post-hardcore and harder edge, which I guess is just a worldwide thing, and then also you hear a lot of bands that also kind of capture that tone that Toe like kind of popularized, I feel like, because they came out before these folks, right?
That's where I am with my tone. Like,
Yeah.
that's the sort of thing that I try to go for.
Yeah, which is a solid thing to strive for, because I mean they're on point, you know. So, but that's kind of just my take.
Cool.
I like that there was like I guess from math rock there was like a female vocalist in there, you know, because you don't hear super often. So, and I think there's another Japanese band that Jimmy showed me that also has a female vocalist that is pretty good, but you know, other than that, like, I can't really think of any, you know what I mean?
I mean, there's a tricot, which they're like a whole different brand of math rock.
Yeah.
They go more for like the overall structural math, while this guy focuses primarily on just crazy off-timed guitar. But anyway, that was a digression.
What about Elephant Gym? Do they count?
No, they're from Taiwan.
Oh wow. Not Japanese, bro.
I just kidding. No, but if you are gonna look for like, I guess, a generalized like Asia, yeah, no, Elephant Gym is a very good example. And then on top of that, she plays bass and sings, and her bass playing is ridiculous. So
I like her vocal.
Whatever, Royce. But at the same time, in Elephant Gym, the guitarist is playing a lot less, like, technically. He's just like filling in with extended chords a lot of times in the right places, which is really
like
smart.
The rolls are like reversed.
Yeah, he's like, he plays, it's a smart thing to do when you got a lot of like crazy bass going on, and then you have vocals that inhabit like a higher range. You don't want to muddle that up too much, you know.
Yeah,
So,
no, I get that.
But you know, and that's one of those things. That's not a hard and fast rule. Just because certain instruments inhabit the same frequencies doesn't mean that you shouldn't play them at the same time. That's just, you know, something that's a preference thing, I guess. So.
Yeah.
It generally works.
Anyway, that's my take.
It's good
I mean,
take.
I could curate a playlist of female-led Japanese math rock bands. I think there's enough that I at least know of.
That'd be cool.
It definitely fits a niche that needs to be more prevalent, especially in the Western music culture. Like, it's pretty obvious we have a lot of social structural issues over here. Sexism being one of many.
Yeah. Well, for this week, I know Roy said he had something he really wanted to suggest. And if we're like take into account like everything that's going on right now, I do have an album that immediately came up into my mind, but I would like to open things up if anyone else like feels very strongly about wanting us to listen to something. Absolutely mention it.
Yeah, so I really wanna. This is an album that it's like a 3-year-old album. I remember when I listened to it back then. Shit, still the same. You know, nothing's changed from when this album was released. And you know, I think as Joey Badass, All American Badass. And Joey, like he just posted on his Instagram about how 3 years ago he risked his career by releasing this album, and I actually like cried to this album, and that's how deep it is to me, and how much it taught me about a perspective that I will never understand. I can just simply, sympathize, but he does a really good job in like putting you in that position, and just his wordplay and it's mostly like his rapping that is to be praised here, and just with the times, I feel like it's a good album to just listen to, even if it's something that you want to avoid for whatever reasons, for feelings, for political reasons, whatever it is. I think just listening to it would be a pretty good thing to do right now. And it's fucking good, man. Like, it's actually like really good. It's not just like a heavy-handed political piece. Like a lot of the songs, the narrative is so much different from each other. It's a good collection of songs where he just goes into the issue that we're pretty much facing right now, and his perspective, and as that's the affected and the person, and I think it would be a good, it's a good conversation, and just so we don't do a Pimp a Butterfly, just because I'm sure everybody's like listened to that album here. So
Has everybody listened to that album though?
Not the whole thing, but enough.
No.
but that's
honestly, that's what I was gonna suggest. Like, I don't know, it's just incredibly influential and relevant. But
it's one of the great albums of years, in my opinion. So if you guys, I'm also that, but
because I haven't listened to the whole thing either. But I mean, if you want to avoid that as being like a very obvious pick, I get that.
If you guys haven't listened to it, I'm completely up for it. I just thought everybody.
I'm down to listen to it.
Yeah. So you guys
the Joey Badass one or Kendrick?
Oh, what's up?
We were talking
Kendrick
about
or-
the Kendrick one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Joey Badass is a pretty young new rapper, so I will assume most people haven't listened to him if you're not into the hip hop community, or if you don't listen to a lot of hip hop.
Yeah, I haven't heard much from him.
Which Kendrick album are you talking about? I'm sorry.
The Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh, okay. I have listened to that.
Okay, well then, if pretty much everyone has listened to it, then never mind.
I haven't listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, but
I'll still listen through it. Just
Yeah.
'cause
on our
the
own.
least I could do is listen to art that's relevant.
Yeah, I think you should listen to that album regardless. Thundercats collaboration with Kendrick on that. It's like one of the Thundercats is one of my favorite artists right now, and
He's the shit.
And
Thundercats
Untitled Unmastered is like a bunch of demos that didn't make it onto Pimp a Butterfly, but were like from the production of that, which is also a really good collection of songs. that was mentioning, like, if you're gonna listen to Pimp a Butterfly, you might as well listen to Untitled, Unmastered.
Absolutely. I mean, basically all of Kendrick's is pretty fucking good, you know. Like even like Damn, I still like Damn as well. I think it's all pretty good album to listen to, and I actually love Damn, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think all of Kendrick's discography. I mean, I still stick by like Joey Badass, but we can also do Kendrick for the second one. I don't know what anybody else suggests.
It's up to you guys. I don't know. If most of you have all listened to it, then
D'Angelo,
Yeah.
Black Messiah, that album that came out like 14 years after he quit music.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've heard that. Yeah.
I'm
that's
just throwing shit out there. We don't have to do that, but it is a good album. And he is like a prolific multi-instrumentalist. Like he writes all his own stuff, you know.
I'm down with that. If everybody else is.
Yep.
sure, whatever.
Or you know what? But what's you're saying the Kendrick Lamar one? It's like a bunch of stuff that didn't make it onto To Pimp a Butterfly.
Untitled, Unmastered is, yeah.
Let's listen to that, because that's kind of like an obscure album that I haven't even heard of from a really popular artist.
It's pretty good too.
I'm down.
It's gonna be hard discussing those songs because they have no names.
Untitled,
sounds like
Unmastered
fun to me.
02, Untitled, Unmastered 03, Untitled, Unmastered 04.
That's
There
all.
you
See,
go.
that helps too
names,
because we'll
Royce.
only be able to discuss like the chunk of the material rather than, you know, it's just the information being passed from the songs that we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, I'm down, dude. I love that album too. It's up to y'all, really.
I'm
Yeah,
down.
Yeah, it
it's
sounds
probably
interesting.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite songs of his of all time on there, so I'm done.
Yeah.
But I haven't even listened to like most of the other ones, to be honest with you. So
Listen through
Cool.
both.
I think Untitled 8, one of my favorite songs in that one. If I'm not mistaken. I'm serious, one of those. But yeah. Yeah, I'm down. So Untitled, Unmastered, and All American Badass.
all right,
Cool.
Sounds
Sick.
good.
Rap week. I'm down.
Sick.
Cool.
All right, everybody, real quick. I don't know if you can see it, but look at my motorcycle.
Hey,
Look at that puppy.
boys.
Nice.
Did you fix it up?
I did.
Jealous.
His name's Beef.
Beef?
Beef. Yeah.
Nick, you know what I just realized?
Hmm.
You live in a beef house. How do you feel about that?
A beef house? Usually we just called them bachelor pads or frat houses. But okay, I'll take the new term.
Are you referencing Tim
You live
Heidecker?
in a beef house.
Are you
Beef
referencing
house.
Tim Heidecker's new show, Beef House?
Yeah. I didn't think anyone would get the reference though.
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
no, I don't pay attention to a lot of their stuff, but I didn't. Oh shit! I did see ads for that. Now that I think about it, I do remember seeing that.
It's so good, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of
been
agree.
I've been watching On Cinema to Cinema this whole like lockdown again, like rewatching it from the beginning.
Hell
And it's-
yeah.
Like,
If you like that, you should watch Decker. Decker's
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, I've seen Decker, The Car, their band is awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm a big Tim and Eric fan. Just Tim Heidecker in general, anything he does. Did you ever did you watch Mr. America?
I haven't seen Mr. America yet.
That On Cinema to Cinema, like you just like lose sight of what's real and what's not after you're done watching it. You're just like, what the fuck, dude? It's ridiculous. The Trial, did you watch The Trial too?
No, man. How are you more informed on this than me?
I've been a big fan since high school. Like I've been like
Honestly, you just gain so much respect in my eyes.
Tim and Eric.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know you liked them either. Yeah, dude. I love Tim and Eric. Like, just adore that show.
Watched a lot of Tim and Eric, but
Yeah.
every single time I have been extremely baked and do not remember.
Dude, I can sympathize with that. Like, the first time I watched a Tim and Eric video was the Universe one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it was a thing where like I used to work at this restaurant, and every time after work I'd get off. If I'd hang out with like a coworker that I'd never seen that, we'd just get like really stoned and be like, "What should we do?" And I'd be like, I wonder. And then I'd force them to watch that video like 4 times.
Yeah. Well, the password for our stream is spaghetti. That's the character.
I was wondering. I was like, "There's no way that's spaghetti." Like I think it's spaghetti.
Yeah, that's spaghetti. That's
a way to give away our confidential password, bro. What the fuck?
Oh.
Yeah,
Hey,
that one
more the merrier. I guess I'll change it then.
You probably should.
To another ref.
Security 101.
We know that
Forget
Zoom's Zoom
Well.
does not have the best rep, so whoever's listening, change the password.
Hey guys, I am hungry.
All right.
Well, I think it's time to hop off. So.
Cool.
This is a good one. This is a good week. I'm excited for this week too.
Me
I think
too.
Yeah.
good for with the time. We didn't do 4 hours this time, so
Hell
Yeah, that's the
brother.
best part right there.
good
Probably
job.
a fucking Martin Scorsese movie or some shit like that.
It's gotta be a one take next time.